So it is Wednesday, June 12th, and the new episode of Jane the Virgin comes on in about 4 hours, but I still haven't done my video for last week's episode because I am so freaking over this. I am also in the process of moving, and so I look a mess, my home looks a mess. The kids are on summer vacation already, so it's loud. I have limited amount of time to myself. We'll pretend like it's to myself, but to myself. And while my youngest is sleeping, so I'm going to go over last week's episode of Jane the Virgin. I'm going to jump around a little bit, but I promise it'll make sense. So we're going to start with Jorge. He becomes the man of the house, and since he and Elba are like legitimately married because of love and not a green card, he starts to move his things into the home from storage, leaving less room for the Villanueva's things, and he also asks Jane to move her things out of the bathroom, so that's cute. In addition to the redecorating, which includes a huge mounted fish, Jorge also is displaying some old-fashioned traits that Jane doesn't seem to appreciate. She also feels like, he seems to be setting a bad example for Mateo, who starts leaving his dishes and things for Jane to clean up, so Jane has to explain that she don't do those kind of gender roles up in here. Moving on to Petra, she decides that one night of wallowing is enough and she's ready to start fresh. Unfortunately, she pops up at Jane's house 3 weeks later in tears and also stays for dinner, where the family prays about Zoe's upcoming PET scan. Jane and Raphael both decide to do like the behavioral exercises. I don't know the like proper term for it, but when it comes to Mateo and his ADHD, they decide to like work on like their routine and like tracking behavioral things and like meltdowns, and they try to do like a behavioral thing and like work on exercises and routines rather than medication. They take detailed notes on Mateo and then they meet to go over them. Raph says that he has a date and Jane takes it pretty well, but I don't think I can do this for more than like one episode. I'm the kind of person that like I could have watched 8 seasons of Jim and Pam just like staring and smiling at each other on The Office. Like, I'm all about that. I can do the will they, won't they. I will watch endless episodes of, Raphael looking longingly at Jane and them pining over each other and going to kiss, but then stopping. Like, I could do all of that. I cannot watch Raphael and or Jane go through the motions of some more relationships. I can't do another Abby. I can't do another skinny Teen Wolf dude. I cannot do any of that. It's like I'm so exhausted. It's not cute. So I understand why The Office did what they did now, because I don't remember how many seasons it took. I don't give a shit. I'm so frustrated with Jane the Virgin, and I really don't think that I can watch several episodes of Raphael dating. Ugh. Like, move it along. I don't care. Again, I don't care if season 5 is 4 episodes, which obviously we're past at this point, but I would have watched 4 episodes and been content rather than watch 20 episodes of Raphael dating and at the last minute he runs to Jane, which, by the way, he better freaking do. I cannot stand this. Anyway, also, on a positive note, I really like this Mateo. So when they switched Mateos, I know it's been a while, but I know when they switched Mateos at first, I was like, oh, what? Like, I just thought the original Mateo was, like, cuter, and he just had those big cheeks and, the big fluffy curly hair, and I just thought he was so cute. But now I feel like this new Mateo has finally grown on me after all this time, and I really like him. And then it's funny because I think he also looks legitimately like he could be Gina Rodriguez and Justin Baldoni's child. Like, I see both of them, and I'm like, all right, I get it. And his hair, and I don't know, he just looks so cute to me now. So he's grown on me, so that's fun. Back in Petra land, she's been putting off returning the engagement ring, so Jane goes with her for moral support to return the ring that she got to propose to JR with. She also has decided to redecorate the hotel and has been like being really super bitchy throughout the whole process. She throws herself into the unnecessary planning of redecorating the hotel again, and in the meantime contacts Krishna, her old assistant, because her temporary assistants haven't been working out at all. Krishna turned her down at first, but then eventually comes back for like, I think she like triple the salary and like something ridiculous. And then, she wants lunch breaks. So, happiest news ever, and I'm so glad to hear it. Zoe is cancer free. So, that's kind of all we have on that so far. I'm hoping for a party in the future. Anyway, This Is Mars got a pilot order, and so Rogelio tells River the good news about Zoe, and she says, now we can be together, and kisses Rogelio. And I'm like, wait, what? Where did that even come from? What? There was... I guess Rogelio and River have been getting along, but other than that, and they're also like very anti-young cast because, you know, they're like supposed to be like a This Is Us where they go back and forth between like time periods. So, or maybe not necessarily time period, whatever you want to call it, you know. So they're going to go back and forth between like past, present, future, all that crap. So, yeah, they're anti-young cast. But other than them getting like along, I didn't see any signs. So it's just very, very random and gross. And yeah, I was like, what's that about? So Ro tells Zoe what happened, and Zoe decides she wants to visit the set with Alba. And Ro lets River know that he isn't interested in her in that way. So, unfortunately, it's sex scene day, and Zoe can't take it. So she charges at River when River kisses Rogelio a little too long after they call cut. And she, like, charges at River, and they fight in this fake Shark Tank thing. It's weird because it's the future, and it's Mars. So Ro asks Zoe to leave the set. And then later, River and Zoe chat in Rogelio's dressing room, and River apologizes and said she got caught up in her method acting, and that combined with just kind of, you know, genuinely being lonely, she misread Rogelio's advances that were not there at all ever. So Ro leaves, and then River kisses Rogelio again, and so they like slap each other, and like, you know, Rogelio goes off on her, and then tells Zoe about the second kiss. Because I guess River thought, like, it was all an act. Like, oh, now we can be together. And, like, wink, wink. Yeah, I'll apologize to Zoe, sure. And it was, like, really freaking weird. It's so unnecessary and weird. So, Ro tells Zoe about the second kiss. Rogelio tells Xiomara about the second kiss. That might not sound so great. And, they fight about her being on set and going forward. So Rogelio doesn't think it's a good idea for Zoe to come visit the set anymore, and so she gets really upset. And Rogelio has his own little man of the house moment where he thinks he runs it all. And, you know, it's his show and he's making the money and boop, 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 boop. So Zoe gets really upset and she gets ready to leave. Rose stops her. And then Xiomara realizes that the argument and all of her feelings of, like, jealousy and insecurity make her feel like a normal person again. So all is well there in their home. And it even, like, I think sparks a little bit of sex drive for Zoe, which has been missing since she was doing chemo. Anyway, back to Jane. She talks to Jorge about ways that he could help with Mateo's behavior and schedule. And it seems to go well. And Jorge agrees to help with these few things, like not watching TV, you know, all evening and kind of like picking up after himself and things like that to try to set a good example for Mateo. And Jorge agrees, but then later tells Alba that he is insulted, which leads to Alba confronting Jane. And Alba's point is Jorge is her husband and the man of the house, which comes up a lot in this episode. And Jane isn't a fan of their, like, old-fashioned gender roles. But Alba points out that Zoe and Jane show a problem with her doing everything for them. Hashtag hypocritical AF, you know what I'm saying? So Jane apologizes to Jorge per Alba's request, and he accepts and responds with a little laundry list of changes he'd like Jane to make, like things like, you know, park further away so your grandma can park closer, and she's like, oh yeah, okay, cool, sure, why not? Back at Raphael's apartment, Jane and Raph are working with Mateo again, and he has a little bit of a meltdown. So Jane loses her patience a little, and Raph hands him an iPad so he and Jane can tap out for a minute on the patio. And Jane and Raphael both agree that their new regimen isn't something that they can sustain long term. We can't live like this, and they want to enjoy their son without the constant monitoring. So, yeah, they're going to try something new. Then Jane asks Raphael about his date, and he says it's nothing worth reporting, and so I just feel like he should stop then, right? Right. Later on, Jane gets locked out of the house because Jorge and Alba have decided to use the couch for sex, so that's cool. Jane crashes at Petra's. Petra admits she's trying to erase JR from the hotel, and that's what kind of, like, sparked this whole, you know, redecorating thing. So they go for a run to clear their heads because Jane had started running before school with Mateo to get, like, energy out before his school day. And yeah, they decided to quit that too. So Petra asks what I've been wondering this whole time while they're like, they stopped to like have a little chit chat during their run. And Petra asks what I've been wondering this whole time, which is why doesn't Jane get her own place? Because at one point she was like working 3 jobs. So it's like, it's not like you got fired and lost your job and you're just like hanging out at Alba's, hanging out at your grandma's house. It's like, why didn't you get your own place? So Jane says that she hasn't done that because she didn't want to give up hope that she and Raphael would get back together and move back in. So that is sad, but ultimately she figures, yeah, she should, be a big girl and move on and get her a place for her and Mateo. Later, back at Alba's house, she explains to Jane that there are a lot of nice things that Jorge does for her and, like puts her slippers on the floor before she wakes up so that her feet don't hit, her bare feet don't hit the floor, cute things like that. And Alba tells Jane that she's happy, so Jane tells her that she is moving out. And Alba doesn't want Jane to feel like she has to go, but she also isn't like, torn up about it either, so that's all smoothed out there. The episode ends, by the way, no Rose or what's-her-face, Louisa. So, they're going to make sure they drag that out because God knows we can't take this waiting game anymore for, like, Endgame Jophael. But anyway, the episode ends with River going freaking bonkers bananas, and she's, I think she's on the set of the show, and she's doing that, like, love me not thing. And she eventually says to herself out loud, that like you do, that Rogelio will pay for not wanting her. And then the episode ends. So that's kind of freaky. I don't know why it has to go that route. I hope you can't hear my children playing video games in the background. Anyway, so that was it for Jane the Virgin, Season 5, Episode 11, aka Chapter 92. Can't wait for tonight's episode. I'm sure it's going to be freaking fabulous.